number of you in the room who've helped get the people here who are here and spread the word out and do the activising that's happened so far on this important campaign. My name is Duncan Law and I work for Biofuelwatch 2.5 days a week, which is focusing on the negative impacts of big bioenergy. And at the moment I am focusing on the potential negative impacts of big bioenergy in Battersea, which is nicely alliterative. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background to the story about biofuels in Battersea and the campaign so far, and then I'm going to hand over to Kenneth Richter from Friends of the Earth, and then Simon from Clean Air in London will tell us about the pollution impacts. And then what I would like us to do, sadly, Helen Burkhardt from, not Burkhardt, it's Buckland, from the Sumatran Orangutan Society has had some bad news and couldn't join us today, but she's sent a statement and Kenneth will fill in some of the information she was going to give us. So I'll read that out perhaps at the beginning before Kenneth talks about climate change and palm oil. I'll just close the door. What I would like us to end up with is getting together in small groups and thinking how we can take action to give this campaign some real teeth and actually effect the aims. So I'll start with the aims. The aims of biofuels, Battersea Against Biofuels, are to stop Sime Darby using biofuels, bio-oil, probably palm oil, in their power plant at the new development at Battersea Power Station. There are a number of ways that we can do this, but I think the generality is we need to make it a sufficient hot potato that they think better and rethink. I think they're quite embedded and I think they're quite impervious, so that's difficult. The other side of making it a hot potato would be making it a political hot potato for the Borough of Wandsworth, so that they, if it is submitted to Planning Commission, would find it very difficult to grant planning permission. And obviously that necessitates a powerful local campaign with a national impact, and that's what we're sort of further kicking off here. So, background to the biofuels at Battersea Power Station are that in 2009 the previous owners, REO, applied for outline planning permission for the big development that is now beginning, and one of the elements of that was an energy centre underground near the River Thames that would provide the power and the heat, and in the summer the cooling, to the entire development of 3,500 flats and the commercial development in the power station. Technically it's a combined cooling, heat and power plant, in itself a very efficient bit of kit, but if you power it on something that is fundamentally unsustainable and emits an awful lot of carbon, you're doing more damage than good. That permission was granted, outline planning permission, and then REO went bust. The site was sold to a Malaysian consortium consisting of Sime Darby, SP Setia, who are a development company, a property company, and the Malaysian government pension fund. Sime Darby is the world's largest producer of palm oil. That is what their fortune is founded on, and they are now painting themselves very green and diversifying. They got planning permission at the beginning of this year for phase 1, 800 flats between the power station and the railway, which they claim to have sold or got pledges on most of, ranging from £345,000 for a studio flat to £6 million for a penthouse. and that will enable them to go ahead with the building and the development of the further phases. At phase 1, they are using a mains gas CHP plant to power and light the building. But in that planning permission, they reiterated their intention to go ahead with a low-carbon bio-oil combined heat and power plant, and that will be applied for with phase 2 planning permission. Phase 2 planning permission could go in at any time, and I learnt on Friday that the planning officers, according to the letter of the law, think that they do not have to go to public consultation at all with it. They can make the entire decision in their office without any of us being any the wiser. I think there are very strong grounds to say that there wasn't enough information in the first planning. Do come in. There are strong grounds to say that that Wandsworth should take this to public consultation, should do a new environmental impact assessment, and should take it to planning committee. That is the battle I've started to fight today, and I would appreciate it if everybody would back me up by writing to their ward councillors and perhaps also to Councillor Govindia. I did also write to him last Thursday asking if he would send a delegate to listen to the arguments here. And just out of politeness, I would like to know if anybody from Wandsworth Council is here taking notes on behalf of Councillor Govindia. Okay, that's clear. Thank you. So, if this goes ahead, they are at the moment they're refusing to say that they've chosen their feedstock. But as I said in the recent planning permission, they reiterated their commitment to bio-oil. If they use bio-oil, it is from experience most likely to be palm oil because it is reliable, it is the cheapest, and there will be no supply problems because there's plenty of rainforest still to be cut down to grow more. Whatever they say they're going to use, they cannot be held to, so we have to avoid any kind of biofuel installation there. It's not good enough for them to say we won't use palm. If they do use palm, the background to palm oil is that vast amounts of rainforest in Sumatra, Indonesia and Malaysia have been cut down over the last 20 years. Something like 48% of the rainforest has been cut down to grow palm oil in monocultures. Increasingly, the deforestation is happening on peatland, which is effectively fossil carbon, but still in plant form rather than oil or coal, and that is drained deliberately or drained by the process of growing very thirsty palm on it, and at that point it becomes accessible to carbon and it oxidizes and produces carbon dioxide at a rate. This is upfront carbon in the process of planting the plantation at a rate that makes palm oil on average very much worse than burning the fossil fuels. In some cases, there can be a 900-year carbon debt, which means you would have to grow, harvest, and use the biofuel from palm oil for 900 years before you would even balance out the upfront carbon that was emitted by planting it. So, it's not a good idea. Obviously, destroying the rainforest also destroys biodiversity, and it destroys habitat, particularly of orangutans and elephants and tigers. And these great ecosystems are the life support mechanisms of the planet, and we shouldn't be mucking with them. They are the things that take the carbon out of the atmosphere that we emit in other places. It also causes land grabs. The people who live in the forest and make a livelihood from it are not considered, and very often end up as endangered workers on the palm oil plantations. Keith will doubtless tell us more about this. Welcome, do come in. And now we get back to the local position, which is that we don't really want to be associated with this, and we don't really want to be associated with Sime Darby, who is one of the great perpetrators of this. But we also don't want to be breathing in the output. Imagine 7 large diesel engines in a row, very large, ship-sized diesel engines in a row, spinning turbines and heating the development, but at the same time fluffing out diesel pollution. And diesel pollution, as people are becoming more and more aware, is very bad for human health. We have the expert Simon here, so I'm not going to wax lyrical about this. He will tell us the mucky detail. But suffice it to say, campaigns have been won on this count. One in Southall in 2010 was refused planning permission unanimously by the planning committee, a Conservative planning committee. It was sent to appeal, the planning inspector ratified their decision, and even Eric Pickles, the Secretary of State, ratified the inspector's decision. So it's a potential area to work on. Our campaign so far, we've met 3 times in the Victoria pub. We're going to try and meet every 2 weeks. We have done a publicity campaign to make more people aware of this issue, organised this meeting. We have communicated with the leader personally and in formal letter, asking for this to be taken seriously at the highest level, and just recently followed that up with the letter about the planning consultation. But as I said, there's much more to do and many more fronts that we can act on. And I'd like us to be thinking about that through the meeting and to get our heads together briefly at the end to put some actions and sign up to some actions on paper. After this meeting, if anybody is free between 1 and 2 tomorrow afternoon, Councillor Govindia is having one of his Let's Talk People events at Southside Shopping Centre, SW18. And if anybody felt like going along there and saying, I was at a meeting, I would like to reiterate that this is a bad idea, that would be a worthwhile thing to do. Probably better that I don't go again, otherwise he'll just think it's me. So we will have a question and answer of all the speakers at the end, and without further ado, unless anybody's jumping to ask me a clarification on what I've just been saying, I will hand over to Kenneth Richter from Friends of the Earth, the National Friends of the Earth biofuel campaigner, who is an expert on Sime Darby, palm oil, and is going to tell us a bit about the biodiversity thing. But actually, the idea of reading...
You still want to do that?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Yes. This is a missive from Helen Buckland.